guys, welcome back to Strong Successful Male. So for today, the Ask SSM video series, got an email from a subscriber. This guy is 30 years old. He turned 30 back in January, and he's writing and asking my advice as well as you guys about a situation he has going on. You see, back in January when he turned 30, his girlfriend threw him a big surprise party. The problem was, as a part of her surprise, was playing a so-called prank on him. But that prank turned out to be a very cruel act, which led to this guy completely walking out on her and all their mutual friends from the party when they got to that point. And now, as you can imagine, he hasn't really seen her since. He's basically done with her. And he wants to know, did he go too far? Was he being too sensitive? Did he overreact? That type of thing. So I'm going to go through his story here, and at the end, I'm going to give my response and see what you guys have to say. And I thought we'd going to go over here, one, to help him out, but also to mention that there's times in life, guys, when events will occur that will have us really evaluate the people we have in our lives and whether they're worth keeping in them. Friends, girlfriends, even wives, and you have to act accordingly and trust your gut. And also that if you have a girlfriend and her behavior demonstrates that you are on no way, shape, or form on the same level of maturity, or she has no empathy or common sense or emotional intelligence, that type of thing, then you have a good reason to end it with her, regardless of the good times you may have had. And that's what I think. So anyhow, and by the way, guys, if you haven't done this so far, if you're on X, former Twitter, come follow me. I know I keep yapping about this, but I'm trying to help it grow. So just pause the video, come follow me. We're all having a real good time over there because I got to do it. Because, this place doesn't promote channels like this anymore because we're the bad guys. So if you can come follow me over there, you get to know what's going on all the time. No holdups, no problems. Okay. It says here, hello, SSM. I found myself in a situation and I really need some outside advice. I'm sending you this to your Ask SSM series, but feel free to use it or not use it however you see fit. My name is Gary, I'm 30, and for the last 6 years, I've been in a committed relationship with my girlfriend, Vicky, a 28-year-old female. We lived together for the last 3 years, and we have a good life. Well, something happened on my 30th birthday in January that I'm struggling to make sense of, and I'm on the fence of letting it go and breaking up with Vicky. Okay, well, at the end of this email, I'll tell you what I think. I know it's my anger right now, so I could use some advice from people that aren't emotionally invested to tell me to suck it up and deal with it, or if I have a real reason to be pissed off. All of our friends are telling me that I'm taking things too seriously and they never meant to hurt me. Well, I notice you said all our friends, like couple friends, not necessarily your friends from before you're with her. I just have no idea if I can believe them. It feels more like damage control than it does remorse. Here's the situation. About a week before my birthday, Vicky told me to keep the day open and be ready for a surprise. I never really worried about birthdays, but she always liked to celebrate things like that. It was actually a good thing for me. I learned to pay attention to little things like that, and I think it made me a better partner. It's not like guys don't care about things like that. It's they don't understand how something so simple can be so important in a relationship. Don't believe me? Enjoy sleeping on the couch when you forget the anniversary. Yeah, you know what? I'm laughing, but the dude should never be on the couch. If she's throwing so much of a temper tantrum that you got to go sleep on the couch because you forgot an anniversary or forgot something something stupid, you talk it out. Don't do this couch shit. And I said couch shit, not couch shit. I knew she was planning something, and throughout the week, I was getting excited. It was a big milestone in my life, the big 3-0. The age when I've always considered a man a real adult. My life was on track in both my personal and professional life, and I thought I had a woman I could spend forever with. I had to laugh. As many of you are laughing. I even had the engagement ring. I wasn't ready to propose, but I was darn close. Well, one might argue I dodged a big one here. It was after dinner the day before my birthday when Vicky gave me an envelope. It was obviously a card, but she told me that I wasn't allowed to open it until I got off work the next day. She made me promise, so I did. I could have peeked beforehand, but I'm not that type of guy that likes to read the last chapter of the book first. Clearly, she was going all out, and I appreciated the effort. Hey, you've been with her 6 years. It's your 30th birthday. You can tell she's putting a lot of effort into this. So, you don't want to be an asshole. I personally have always hated, first of all, I hate surprises. I want to know what's going on all the time, so I wouldn't like any surprise parties. And frankly, I never liked big birthday parties. When I turned 40, my girlfriend threw me a big party, and they were all friends, don't get me wrong, and I made the best of it, but I hate being the center of attention like that. That's just me. Some people love to be the center of attention at a big party and all. That ain't me. I'd rather be just a few people hanging out. Well, I kept my word and did not open the envelope until after I got off work. Admittedly, I only made it to my car before I ripped it open like a kid at Christmas. There was a happy birthday card in it that let me know we had dinner reservations in less than an hour. Well, what if you opened it later? That's the problem there. I didn't have time to go home and get changed, so I just headed to the restaurant. On the way, I tried to call Vicky and thank her and let her know I was on my way, but the call went to voicemail. I left a message, figuring she was already getting ready. I made it to the restaurant, a nice Italian joint, about half an hour early, so I waited in my car until it was almost the time for the reservation. I thought about calling Vicky again, but since I was going to see her soon, I did not. So you're expecting, like, okay, I'm going to walk in the room and everybody's going to be like, surprise, and all that shit. When I went to the restaurant, I told them my name and they said our table was ready. I was expecting a table for 2 people, but when the host took me to the table, there were 4 tables pushed together. Okay, in other words, a lot of people for your birthday. Okay. But you're like, where are all the people? I asked them how many people were on the reservation, and she told me 20 people. I was blown away that Vicky would do all that for me. I thanked the host and took a seat. Well, so far I was the only one there, but I was still a little bit early. The waiter dropped off some breadsticks and took my drink order. I was excited, but it was slowly turning into something else, and I'm not sure how to explain. It was about 15 minutes after the reservation that I was starting to get concerned. So you're there for 15 minutes after the reservation, still nobody's there? What the fuck? You all can see where this is going. At 20 minutes in, my concern was turning into nervousness and a bit of irritation. I tried to call Vicky again, but like before, it went straight to voicemail. Not cool. It was after I'd been almost there for almost an hour, watching the other diners giving me sideways glances of pity, that I finally gave up. I signaled the waiter, asking him to give me the bill, and left him a $100 tip and drove home. What the fuck? This is the big birthday surprise she's showing you? You go in the restaurant, nobody's there, tables pushed up. I want to point out that the restaurant lost business. She's obviously planning this shit. Obviously, you guys can connect the dots here. That restaurant lost business. All those tables couldn't be used to have people in there. And he dropped $100 for this. Can you imagine guys sitting there for a fucking hour? Feel like a complete ass over this whole thing? We're not done yet. Well, the entire drive home, I was trying to come up with some reason that nobody showed up. At first, I thought that Vicky might have been in an accident, but that didn't explain why nobody else showed up. By the time I got home, I was pretty pissed off. So would I be. I had no idea what was going on, but sitting in that restaurant was for almost an hour by myself at the long table was humiliating. Yeah. And this is also his 30th birthday. It's a big deal. I remember I turned 30. Shit. Honestly, I can't think of a time in my life I felt more worthless than I did that moment. It wasn't just the time wasted in the restaurant, it was the time driving and waiting. For a little more than 3 hours, I wasted most of my evening. When I parked at our apartment, I sat in my car for about 10 minutes, just trying to get my anger and disappointment under control. All the lights in our apartment were off, and I had no idea where Vicky was. But I was going to get some answers the second I found her ass. Before I got out of the car, I tried to call her one more time. But again, it went to voicemail. I'm not sure if she understood the storm that was waiting for her whenever she decided to show herself. Well, I was walking up to the apartment. All I wanted to do was take a hot shower, get something to eat, and go to bed and forget that day ever happened. I don't blame you. My mind was spinning with 1,000 thoughts, and most of them weren't very nice. As soon as I opened the door and flipped on the light, I almost had a heart attack. Vicky and all our friends jumped up shouting, "Happy birthday!" Fuck them. That was all on purpose. One of those stupid things. Was somebody hiding in the corner recording you so they can put all these videos together and put on TikTok? That stupid shit. I was speechless, standing there shocked, watching all our friends smiling and clapping for me. A quick glance around the room told me the party started long before I walked through the door. Vicky ran up to me, wrapped me in a big hug, laughed about how surprised I was. Bitch, you have no idea, and you're about to be surprised. But I did not hug her back. I just stood there looking between her and our friends, and the only thing I could think about was how humiliated I was at the restaurant, while all my friends were at the apartment getting drunk and probably having a good laugh at how stupid I am. I have no idea what happened. Something inside me broke. I didn't say a word. I pushed Vicky back and looked at her. The smile on her face told me she had no idea what she did to me. Well, given the fact that you said she's 28, and I'm going to guess most of your so-called friends are there in their 20s too, they're acting like a bunch of fucking idiots. Typical of this generation that doesn't really look at the big picture. I'm not saying all you guys in your 20s, Gen Zs, and late-stage millennials are like this, but I'm guaranteeing people were recording you, hoping to put on TikTok and Facebook and all that. No, these people are morons. I stepped back and looked around the room. Everyone was still laughing and smiling, at least until I turned on my heels and headed for my bedroom. Even though Vicky was following me asking what was wrong, I barely heard her over the music in my head. I didn't hesitate. I pulled out my suitcase and started packing all my clothes. The second Vicky saw what I was doing, she freaked out. Yeah. Dumbass Vicky didn't quite get the big picture here. How would Vicky react if you did the same thing to her? She was sitting there for a fucking hour. I guarantee you no woman in her 20s would sit there for a fucking hour waiting around. You were being very above and beyond nice in that situation. Everyone was still laughing and smiling. Oh, I read that part. She jumped between me and the suitcase and asked me what was going on. I ignored her and continued packing. Silence is the best weapon. At some point, she went to enlist some of our friends to help out, but I ignored all of them. They kept saying it was only a prank and saying they didn't know I'd be so angry. Well, that's the problem. That says everything about your girlfriend and all these so-called friends. Are they, again, couple friends? No idea how that would make you feel. The more they talked, the more I was convinced I need to be anywhere but here. I didn't take everything, only enough for a few days. I wasn't ready to make any life-changing decisions. I just needed some time to think to myself, and I couldn't do that around Vicky and our friends. They were still trying to get me to stay and enjoy the party when I walked out of the apartment. That's not what she expected. Vicky chased me all the way to my car, but I didn't say anything to her before I drove off. It didn't take long for my phone to start dinging like crazy with all the messages coming in, but I didn't bother to read any of them. Hey, she didn't respond to any of your messages? You're not going to respond to any of hers. Fuck them. I ended up going to my parents' house about an hour away and at 30 years old, I found myself back in my childhood room under my parents' roof. Well, this is a 30th birthday party this is a birthday you're never going to forget, let alone being 30. I never felt such a complete loser than in that moment. I explained everything that happened, and my parents were angry as I was. I went to bed and just wanted to forget everything for a while. That sucks, man. I'm sorry. Your girlfriend's a fucking idiot. In the morning, my mom told me that Vicky came by, but she turned her away and giving her a piece of her mind. Hey, go mom. She told her to leave me alone, and if I wanted to talk to her, I would call her. Knowing my mom as well as I do, I'm fairly certain that the vanilla description that she gave me is vastly underreported. In other words, your mom probably dropped some F-bombs on your very soon-to-be ex-girlfriend. It's been since the end of January when all that happened, and I'm still at my parents' house. I just can't make a decision. Her so-called prank was tasteless and cruel. But it's hard to just throw away 6 years of history over a bad judgment. That goes beyond bad judgment, dude. This is also her character. I've tried to figure out how to move on from this, but I still keep coming back to the absolute disrespect. Yeah, your gut keeps telling you this ain't right. I just can't wrap my mind around how anything they did would be considered harmless. I'm starting to think it wasn't a joke. I'm starting to think that I was the joke, and I don't know how to come back from this. Maybe I'm being too sensitive, like a couple of our friends have told me, but as much as I want to put this behind me, I just cannot understand it. I would appreciate any words of advice you have or your community might have on this subject. I'm leaning towards breaking up with her, but I just haven't been able to pull the trigger as of yet, and it doesn't help that Vicky and all our friends are still doing everything they can to help me get over this. I don't know what to do. On the one hand, I feel like a bitch not being able to get over a joke, but on the other hand, I can't help but remember the humiliation I felt that night. How can people who claim to like you do something like this as though it's perfectly normal? I just don't get it. Okay, I've dropped hints here and there, but now I'm going to share what I think about the situation, your girlfriend, your jerk-off friends, and all that. I say, it's fucking hot today, I say fuck them. Really. How can I get into this? Because there's so much to say. It's your 30th birthday party, man. And that's the shit they do? Really? You were there for an hour. Empty freaking table. Just sitting around. You know how shitty that would make your average Joe feel? If the situation was reversed, can you imagine what your girlfriend would be like if the situation was reversed? But this stupid shit is the type of crap that, again, seems so typical of the Gen Z, late stage millennial generation, do stupid shit for attention and laughs and not really think about the consequences. I'm willing to bet you somebody was in that restaurant at the bar watching you so she could tell them when you were on the way, probably recording you. And the plan was eventually record that and then you sitting there unhappy and feeling stupid and then record you coming in and put on TikTok. That's the stupid shit that people do, right? I'm willing to bet you that was probably the plan. No, I say the hell with your girlfriend and these friends, and it shows me that they have, your girlfriend in particular has no empathy, has no emotional intelligence, doesn't have any common sense, doesn't really think things through. You two are on completely different levels of maturity, and you're just not compatible. And even though you said you had 6 years of her in good times, and do I think that she meant to do it to be malicious? Not necessarily. I don't think that. Or your so-called friends. I just think they're fucking a bunch of children and don't get it. And I wouldn't waste my time with people like that, quite frankly. And if your gut keeps telling you this is wrong, and I don't want to be somebody like that, and the thing is, have they done this to anybody else? Are you the first person in your friend group that turned 30? So, has anybody else had a party like that where you got there and nobody was there, that type of thing? I mean, it's ridiculous. It just ain't cool. So if your gut is telling you everything's wrong about her and all the other people, then I'd say the end of story. It's over. Period. That's what I would do. Fucking period. I'd be done with her and all of them. I wouldn't have waited at the table that long. But, and quite frankly, I probably would have told them all to get the fuck out of my apartment, including the girlfriend. But that's just me. But I'm older and I'm an asshole. So, but no, man, this is bothering you that deeply. End it with her. End of story. Say, hey, you can either give her what do you want to call it, an explanation or not. That's your business. But I'd go back to your place, get your stuff, settle your affairs, and say it's over. It's not going to work. We had a great 6 years, but I really don't know who you are. We're in different places right now. What you did was just unbelievably cruel. It wasn't a stupid prank. And the worst thing about the whole thing is, in my opinion, is they don't get it. You're now soon-to-be ex-girlfriend. Your friends don't get it. They think it was just a joke, because that doesn't surprise me, given that age group and their lack of maturity and empathy. And do you really want to be with someone like that? And the worst part is they're obviously telling you, they're probably making you feel like you're just a crybaby, overly sensitive, a loser, that type of thing. And maybe on some level, and it's very likely, I'll be honest with you, that their perception of you is just someone that they can mess with, and pull something like this, because I'm sure this hasn't happened to anybody else. It doesn't sound like me that you have ever been a part of some prank like this. And I can go on and on. So no, man, I say you end it with her. And it's possible there may be some people in the group that probably thought this wasn't a good idea. Really. But then again, they should have tipped you off. So man, I think you made the right decision. Time to break it off with her. You got to obviously break the lease and do what you got to do with the apartment and everything and move on. End of story. And even though you've been with her for 6 years and all these people you've been friends with, I think you're going to feel really good about yourself and a level of respect for yourself. Even if you cut all these people out of your life and feel alone for a while, better to be alone than assholes like this. You're going to feel respect for yourself for doing what you had to do and cutting these people off. Because if you go back to her and go back to hanging out with them, you're not going to have any self-respect for yourself. It's going to eat you alive. I'm telling you now. And people like this got to learn the hard way. They don't just pull shit like this. Grow the fuck up. And they haven't grown up. Well, some of them are going to grow up real quick because they're going to remember this. And if they want to label you as overly sensitive or crybaby, fuck them. Let them. They're not in your life anymore, And sooner or later, something like that will happen. And by the way, your girlfriend's going to put on the waterworks and cry and beg, and I'm so sorry. Dude, she's showing you her character, who she is. You are light years ahead of her. You're 30 years old. Your prime is really beginning. You know this. You know, focus on yourself, your purpose, what you want to achieve in life, making something yourself. Spend time with people who really care about you. They're going to pull this shit, and you'll be fine. Because in life, guys, there are times when you got to do a spring cleaning, if you will, to the people in your life and realize they're not adding anything to it. In fact, they're taking things away. Cut them off. Start over. You're going to be okay. So that's what I think. All right, guys, that's it for today. Shoot a comment down below. Let me know what you think about this. Please let this guy know in the comment section. If you disagree with me and you think he's overreacting and being a big crybaby, okay, you're allowed to say it. You don't have to agree with me, guys. But really, let this guy know what you think, and he'll read every comment, I guarantee, and that'll probably help him on his what he's going to do. But I pretty much think that she's toast anyway. And be sure to like the video, share it with your friends, and subscribe. I'll catch you next time.